All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're climbing into the cab to really understand what it takes to get behind the wheel of one of those massive commercial vehicles that, let's be honest, keep our entire economy moving. You see them everywhere, right? Giant tractor trailers barreling down the highway, city buses navigating tight turns, huge dump trucks at every construction site. But have you ever stopped to think, how in the world does someone get the keys to operate a machine that big? Well, it's definitely not the same license you and I have in our wallets. To do that job, you need something special, something that's federally regulated and proves you have some serious skills and knowledge. And that's the commercial driver's license, or as everyone calls it, the CDL. So let's start at the very beginning. What exactly is a CDL and who really needs to have one? Okay, so the federal government has some pretty clear lines in the sand here. It basically boils down to weight, passengers, or cargo. If your vehicle has a gross vehicle weight rating of 26,001 pounds or more, that's the magic number, you need a CDL. Same thing if you're pulling a heavy trailer, or if you're driving a vehicle made for 16 or more people, or, and this is a big one, if you're hauling hazardous materials that need a placard, no matter how big the truck is. Now, not all CDLs are created equal. They're actually broken down into different classes, and it all depends on the kind of rig you're planning to drive. So let's get into the A, B, and C's of these licenses. At a glance, it's actually pretty simple to wrap your head around. Class A is for the biggest of the big. We're talking your classic tractor trailers, the combination vehicles. Class B is for heavy, single vehicles. Things like a dump truck or a city bus that don't pull a huge separate trailer. And Class C, that's kind of the catch-all for smaller vehicles that still hit one of those triggers we talked about, like a large passenger van or a small truck hauling hazmat. Now, check this out. This flowchart really breaks down the decision-making process. Let's just follow the logic here. The very first question is about the gross combination weight rating. That's the total weight of the truck plus its trailer. If that total is over 26,001 pounds, then you ask about the trailer. If the trailer itself is over 10,000 pounds, boom, you're in Class A territory. If not, the chart just walks you right down the line to see if you fit into Class B or C. It's a really clear-cut system. And this quote from the official manual pretty much says it all. There's a clear hierarchy here. Class A is the top of the pyramid. It takes the most skill, which is why, and this is the key takeaway, if you earn a Class A license, you're automatically qualified to drive Class B and Class C vehicles too. Okay, so you've picked your license class. But what if you need to haul something very specific, like, say, gasoline in a tanker truck, or a bus full of kids? Well, that's where endorsements come in. You can think of them like specializations or leveling up your CDL. And here are the most common ones. Each one of these letters is a specific qualification. T lets you pull double or even triple trailers. N is for tankers. P is for passengers. H is for hazardous materials. S is specifically for school buses. And then you have X, which is a combo deal, qualifying you for both tankers and hazmat. And you don't just get these for the asking. No way. For every single endorsement, you have to pass another written knowledge test. It's just one more layer of making sure you absolutely have the skills to handle that very specific and often very dangerous job safely. So you've hit the books, you know your license class, you know which endorsements you need. Now it's time to face the final boss, the actual hands-on CDL skills test. This test is a 3-part monster, and you have to pass each section before you can even attempt the next one. First up is the vehicle inspection. And you're not just kicking the tires here. You have to walk the examiner around the entire rig, pointing to different parts and explaining what you're checking and why it's critical for safety. If you pass that, you move on to basic controls, backing up, turning, and maneuvering that giant thing through a course of cones. And only then do you get to the final part, the on-road test, where you have to prove you can handle it all in real traffic with other cars. Getting your CDL is a huge accomplishment, but keeping it, that's a whole other story. It demands constant professionalism because the rules are incredibly strict and the consequences for breaking them, they're severe. Just look at this number, 0.04%. For a commercial driver, that is the legal blood alcohol limit. That is exactly half the 0.08 limit for the rest of us. When you're responsible for a vehicle weighing tens of thousands of pounds, there is basically zero tolerance. And things can stack up on you fast. Just 2 serious traffic violations in 3 years. We're talking things like speeding 15 miles an hour over the limit or reckless driving, and you'll lose your CDL for at least 60 days.
A third one gets you 120 days. Your career can get put on pause just like that.
And for the really big offenses, the penalty can be your entire career. A second major offense, like getting a DUI or using your commercial truck to commit a felony, that can result in a lifetime ban. Done. Finito. There are no more chances after that. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't realize, and it is so important. The rules follow you home. They follow you into your personal car. If you commit violations in your own vehicle that gets your regular license suspended, you will lose your CDL privileges too. A professional driver is considered a professional 24/7. So, the tests are passed, the license is in your wallet, but the job is far from over. For drivers who cross state lines, there is a constant, critical, and never-ending trail of paperwork that has to be perfect. Let's take a look. You'll hear these two acronyms all the time in long-haul trucking, IRP and IFTA. To put it simply, these are agreements between all the states and Canadian provinces that help them share the money from registration fees and fuel taxes. It's a system that stops a trucker from having to register and pay taxes in every single state they drive through. It's what makes efficient interstate commerce possible. And how do they track all this? With this document right here. It's called an individual vehicle distance record, and for the driver, it's their Bible. You can see it logs everything: trip dates, where you started, where you ended, the routes you took, odometer readings, and every single gallon of fuel you bought. This meticulous record is the only way to prove compliance. It's a ton of work.
And finally, here are a few other absolute non-negotiable rules of the road. You can only have one driver's license, period. You can't have a CDL from Texas and a regular license from Oklahoma. You have to tell your boss about any traffic ticket within 30 days, even if you got it in your pickup truck on a Saturday. Absolutely no holding a phone or texting. And you have to wear your seatbelt, always.
So when you add it all up, mastering the weight classes, passing all those tests, and keeping a squeaky clean record, the path to becoming a professional driver is incredibly demanding. It takes real skill, a ton of knowledge, and an unwavering commitment to safety. These drivers are truly the lifeblood of our country. So maybe the next time you see a big rig on the road, you'll have a new appreciation for the professional who earned the right to be behind that wheel. Thanks for watching.